Okay, so we've opened up blocks.html in Komodo, and I opened up blocks.html in Firefox so that I can see the results of what I'm doing. We're going to notice the difference between this file and our previous HTML files. We've added another line in the head section, which is a link line. This is going to tell the browser where to find the CSS. Now, there are three places that you can put CSS. You can put it here in an external CSS file. For this class, this is where all of your CSS should be. I mark down any CSS that I find anywhere else. So all CSS belongs in an external CSS page. The second place that can go when you're not in this class is you can go right here into your head, and I can put my style information right in my HTML page. It's unique to the page. The third place that I can put it is I can go right down to an element and go style equals, and I can enter in CSS right on the individual line. There is a precedence that takes place. If I enter, let's say I set body color black. So I'm going to body background color black. So I'm going to put that, and I put that in my external style sheet. So I put it up here in my external style sheet. But then I come in here, and in the document up here I do the style, and I do body background color yellow. The one here in my head is going to override the one in my style sheet. If I come down here on body and I say background color white, it's going to override the one that was up in the head. The CSS that applies is the one that is closest to the element. The top is further away from the bottom. So basically, the easiest thing is the closer you get to it, that one takes precedence. By eliminating the use of style information in my body and my head, I force it to all be in my external. Let's say we've got 5 pages and we all link to one style sheet, and you decide that we want to change our anchor links, so our links, so that they don't have underlines except when you hover the mouse over it. How many places do you have to change it? 1 in the external style sheet. You got 5 pages, but you're not using external style sheets because they take too much work, so you've decided to put them each in the head of each page. Now how many pages do you have to update? 5 of them. Is that a big deal? Yeah, not really. It's a little bit more work. It's kind of tedious, but it's not bad. Now, you can't make up your mind, so you've decided to put this on every single anchor tag in the page. You've got 5 pages. You've got one page that's got 20 links in it, another that's got 10 links in it. All of a sudden, you're having to change it every place it is. That's why search and replace was built. But it's still tedious. That's fine. That was 5 pages. Your website has 100 pages in it. How long are you going to want to be changing every single page? Probably not too long. But if you put it all in the external style sheet, again, you changed 1 page and your entire website changed. So best practice, put it in your external style sheet. For this class, that's the only place I should see any CSS code is in the external style sheet. So let's create an external style sheet. We have our link, type, style sheet, href. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it style.css. That's great. Now I need to actually have the file. So I'm going to go in Komodo. I'm going to go File, New, File from Template, Web. I'm going to check CSS. I'm going to check and make sure that I'm in the right location. Now, I should be, since I was in the blocks.html, it's going to default to where I was last. but if not, make sure I'm in the correct spot. And I'm going to call it style.css. Notice lowercase all the way, no caps. And it creates it, and you get a blank page here. Style.css, the name must exactly match. Otherwise, the computer can't find it. I now have a style sheet that is attached to my page. If I want to test it, I can come up here and I could do body, background, oh, just a background color, black. Save it, switch to Firefox, refresh. Yep, it's attached, it's working. So my external style sheet is working. Quick way to just verify it. I don't actually want that, I'm going to get rid of it. But it was a quick way to verify that my linkage was working. The next thing we need to do is come back into our HTML, and we need to break this up. We've got header, menu, main content, section, aside, footer, and they're all sitting there. There's nothing to hold on to them. They're not even paragraphs, they're just there. If I want to do any special formatting, remember I want to create blocks so I can move them around. I need to wrap them in something. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my wrapper. Because I'm going to wrap all of my page's content. And everything I do is going to go inside there. I will eventually delete all the stuff between at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the HTML5 header and I don't know why the Komodo does not recognize main. Now, this is our main content. I'm actually going to break this up a little bit. And I'm going to create a section in here. We're going to call it section. Aside. Now I've got all that, I'll get rid of it. And away I go. Save it. Reload. Validate. And it validates. Yeah. It doesn't like the fact I actually don't have a heading element within a section. But we're going to ignore that for right now. In section, it really would like to see an H1 or an H2 tag at the top of it. So we're not completely doing everything as we should for it, for the div tags. Now, I could also, now you don't have to duplicate this, but just for completeness to show you, I could have done it this way. Div ID equals header instead of using the HTML5 element. Both are valid, both work. But we'll just pick one and go with it. Now we need to add some formatting to it. I'm going to do one here, and I'm going to turn off all my borders, and all my padding. The asterisk means apply to all elements. So basically I'm saying I'm going to take control of all my borders and all my padding. I'm going to zero out the defaults. When I deal with an ID, do I use a period or a hash mark? Do you know? I use a hash mark. Let's deal with the wrapper first. Let's just specify how big this thing can go. So let's set a width on it, and let's set it to 1,000 pixels. And yeah, that'll be good enough. Oh, let's do margin 0 auto. We're going to center it, and let's put a border on it. 1 pixel, solid, some color. And if we switch back here, and we get kind of a greenish yellow here, and I've built it, and I've got a square here, and my content is all within it. Notice how my content was moved in. That's because the wrapper contains it, and since I told it to center it, it just positioned everything. The wrapper is the parent. The next one we've got header. This is an actual HTML element, so we can just refer to as header. It's not a class or an ID. So for header, let's go ahead and we'll set our header at 100%. So it's going to go the full width. And let's put a background color on it. And let's make it black. And we'll set our text to white. There are certain colors that have names. So instead of using the hex codes for it, I'm using the names. And let's put a padding top of 20 pixels. And let's do a text align center. Now, what am I going to have? I'm going to have a black bar that runs across the top. It's going to have white text. It's going to be moved 20 pixels from the top of it. And it's going to be aligned center. Let's refresh. It's exactly what I get. Okay, that was the menu. Now we have a menu, which we called, oh, I should have used menu instead of nav. Okay, I called it nav. And we'll go ahead and we'll do a top menu. And we'll just go ahead and set it to 100% also. And background color. Oh, let's do yellow. The default color is black for the text, so we'll leave that alone. Padding. And I want to kind of move it down, so I'm going to do 10 pixels top and bottom, 0 left and right. I'm using shortcut notation. And we'll go ahead and text align center it. So I should have a yellow bar, space above and below my text with yellow text. Black text, sorry. And there's my menu. Block. Now main content, let me go back here. We built a section within it, and we can treat it as an individual block. I'm going to actually remove the word main content for this point. but we're still going to do our main. And I'm going to specify a width. Again, I'm going to do 100%. And I'm not going to put anything else on it. I now have a section. Well, I'm sorry, I forgot to enlarge this. And I will set a width on it of, say, 500 pixels. And let's put a background color. Oops, not background clip. Oh, what should we put our background color? Blue. We'll set our color to white. I'm not going to worry about text aligning it, but I am going to do a float on it. I'm going to float it left. I have an aside. Now, we use 500 pixels for the content, and our entire wrapper was 1,000 pixels. So we've got 500 pixels left over that we could do for the side. I'm actually going to not use them all. I'm going to say that's 250 pixels wide. And we'll put a background color on it. We'll go ahead and pick on black again. We'll set our text color to white. We'll float it left. Then we'll come down to our footer. We'll set our width to 100%. I'm going to leave our background color alone. Let's text align at center. We'll just leave it alone. Take a look. Oh no. Where did my footer go? Right in there. Because remember what I said, if there is space, it will go there. So let's clear it. And now all of a sudden my footer drops down below where it belonged. Yeah, I know that I had set my content, my main to be wide enough, but it still sometimes disobeys it. Yes?
What is the CSS you put in to put it at the bottom? Clear or white?
Clear both.
Clear both.
Yep. And pushed it in. And now it's in there. And now we can play with it. We can do some fun stuff. Let's go to header. We didn't set this. Let's set a height on it. And let's set it at, say, 60 pixels. I can make my blocks grow. Our aside, we did float left. What happens if I do float right on it? Notice how it shoved it off? And we've got space sitting between the two. What if we were to go to our section and put a float right on it? Notice how my section and my aside flipped. So we can go through and we can just, by changing it, adjust it, play around with it, change our flow, and all we're doing is changing our CSS.